taught many lessons in my life. My parents taught me how to cross a road. They taught me how to pray, and how to do all these different activities. But among all these different things, my parents and everyone around me always reminded me to remember to do 3 things. How to speak, breathe, and live. These are very simple things that should be critical to every single person. But then I realized that all of us, we speak, breathe, and live in different ways. To the point that sometimes we forget how to speak, live, and breathe as a Filipino. And when these things happen, things like Filipino tourism are things that are now being degraded. That we are no longer symbols of this to other people, and other people are no longer attracted to come see our beautiful nation. Hence, I believe that even as simple as my own little ways, that I can promote things like Filipino tourism by speaking, breathing, and living the Filipino way. Firstly, when you're talking about speaking, when you're talking about promoting pretty much anything, the very obvious thing to do is word of mouth. I can invite my family, my friends, even people I don't know to the beautiful beaches of Batangas, or I can go to the Banawi Rice Terraces, or all the other beautiful places that we have to offer. But it doesn't stop there. The great thing about being in the generation that I am today, about being a part of the Filipino youth in particular, is that my world has expanded to much more than that. That I don't just have to rely on my word of mouth. I have things like the internet now. I have things like radio, like television, technology that has guided us and allowed us to promote these things much more. That's the reason why the current mechanism to promote tourism, that it's more fun in the Philippines. I can just keep sharing these on my Facebook page, and simple ways like that can show other people that, hey, maybe it is more fun in the Philippines. I speak the Filipino way when I speak to other people what's great about my nation. And that's the very first thing and very obvious thing that I can do to be able to contribute to these kinds of things. Secondly, you can breathe the Filipino way. Or I, in particular, can breathe the Filipino way. What I mean is this. You can go to other countries where they speak different languages and they have different cultures from you, but breathing will always stay the same. And that's one thing that I want to remember, that I want to utilize in order to promote Filipino tourism. Meaning, personally, I like to travel. But when I breathe the Filipino way, even though I go abroad to our friends in the West, or maybe our neighboring countries like Indonesia or Malaysia, I still bring my Filipino spirit. That I do not become engulfed in these other cultures, and I remember that I breathe Filipino and that I bleed Filipino blood. This simple remembrance that I can actually show people that say that, hey, maybe even though I'm out there, I still care about bananas, or I still would rather eat these kinds of foods, that I still have this particular kind of taste, is a way for me to promote tourism. Because I have become an example no matter where I go. Lastly, living the Filipino way. This is the major way that I can promote Filipino tourism, and it's also the way that most people tend to forget. Because right now in our society, especially with the youth, and I admit I am no exception from this, sometimes I forget my nationalism. Sometimes I forget, what I'd rather do or where I come from, and sometimes this hurts me. But I realize that the best way to promote these kinds of things, to promote tourism to other people, is to live it. Because especially, for example, one of the most famous things about our country is our hospitality. And simplest things like speaking our native tongue, simplest things like bringing around things that are initially linked to our country is a way for me to live this particular kind of thing. And I've now become a symbol of tourism. And honestly, that's what I want to show people. Because the youth right now is the future. And the future is what we're trying to show people out there. That the Philippines has a beautiful future and a beautiful present. And the people are the symbols of this. Because tourism is not only about the beautiful places around us, it is about the people that are residing here, and the culture of joy and accommodation and welcoming and peace are the things that will automatically draw people towards us. These are the kinds of things that have to be shown to the public, the values that we've kept throughout our culture for such a long time. I want to live the Filipino way. Simple gestures like making mano towards my parents. And all these different things, that subtle gestures that show other people that I am proud to be a Filipino. All in all, I tell you that my parents have taught me a lot of lessons. And I'm pretty sure they've done the same to all of you. However, I tell you, obviously we want to bring people towards us. We want to show people the beauty of our nation. And me personally, the way I love to do this is to speak the Filipino way. To breathe and remembering that I will always be a Filipino, and to live the way that I was raised, the Filipino way. And I tell you, it's basic lessons like this that will show the world that there's nothing that I would rather do than go see the Philippines.